Good morning, everyone, and good afternoon to people in other time zones. I'm Steve Farrell, the Worldwide Executive Director for Humanities Team, and welcome to this to the Living in Oneness Summit. It's great to be with you. I'm going to be having a conversation with a very special guest today, Stu Zimmerman. Stu is the co-host of a nationally syndicated talk show called Get Conscious Now. The program is dedicated to making a global impact to build a better world by raising consciousness. Its mission is to explore the true nature of our physical reality and its practical implications for living a more mindful and enjoyable life. This is going to be truly an amazing hour. I'll be introducing Stu shortly. We're all very excited about today's program. We have about 19,000 registered for today's call. Thank you so much, everyone, for prioritizing time to be here for this important global conference call. This call is interactive with each of you, our listeners, so I want to invite you to go ahead, even right now, put your questions in the question window and instant teleseminar. I promise that we'll get to at least a few of your questions during the hour. A little about Humanities Team as we get started. In Humanities Team, we see there is only one presence, the divine, and see we are all offspring and expressions of the divine. This means God's love, light, grace, and peace are ours because there is no separation and we share the same essence. Since our founding in 2003, we've done our best to live as one with the divine, each other, and our earth home. We don't need to be perfect. It doesn't have to feel heavy. We must only do our best. And we can have fun with this as we're going to definitely be demonstrating on today's call. Stu loves to be light and share humor, and I do too. When we talk about oneness with the divine, of course, this is true for all of life, not just humanity. This has repercussions for how we see ourselves, others, and the earth that is our home. This means everyone and everything is sacred and should be treated as such. It also means we're responsible for the world around us because, in truth, it's part of our authentic self, encompassing the whole of the earth. Perhaps there's nothing more important than this, coming to see ourselves as a cell in the body of the divine, the earth, and stepping into a role where we're caring for the earth and the world that we live in. This is our focus in Humanities Team, and if you resonate with our work, we invite you to go to humanitiesteam.org, our website, and reach out to us about the projects that you might like to become involved in. Okay, please get comfortable as we begin our program. I'm now going to introduce our special guest. Stu Zimmerman has had many lives, including a few in this lifetime. He used to be so normal. By the way, Stu's a friend, so this is why I'm laughing. I know the truth of all of this. He went to an Ivy League school, Cornell, as an undergrad. He graduated first in his MBA class in finance at Northeastern University. He then spent 20 years focusing on the almighty dollar in the stock market as a stockbroker, options trader, and money manager. At the peak of his financial success in the late 1990s, his wife was diagnosed with cancer that was ultimately terminal. It was clear that there was no amount of money that would give him and his family what they really wanted. This was his wake-up call, what he calls a spiritual 2x4 that slapped him upside the head. He started a journey that led to his letting go of the investment world to discover the answer to these questions. Who am I? Why am I here? And what is this fixation on money, wealth, and security all about? To explore these questions, he co-authored Inner Security and Infinite Wealth, Merging Self-Worth and Net Worth with Jared Rosen. He then created and hosted the nationally broadcast radio program Inside Wealth, interviewing such diverse luminaries as Deepak Chopra, Tony La Russa, and George Zimmer about their perspective on success and world vision. More recently, he created and hosted the Inner Espresso short-form video series that translated universal wisdom into practical calls to action for business. Stu currently co-hosts the award-winning television show Get Conscious Now, having interviewed Deepak Chopra and the Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith, among other forward-thinking leaders. His Stu's Views segment offers wit, wisdom, and lightheartedness that transmits an energy of delight and possibilities for a more joyful world. You can reach Stu at stu@enjoymedia.com. Enjoy is spelled with an I. And welcome to the Living in Oneness Summit, Stu. It's great to have you with us.
Steve, it is my honor and pleasure, my friend and brother.
All right. Well, we're all real excited to have you here with us. And, gosh, let's go ahead and get started because there's so much ground that we'll cover. And, Stu, I'd like to start with your personal story because it's personal stories first are so powerful, but yours is truly truly a story where you went from this path of wealth management to spiritual seeker and leader. Can you just take us inside and share a little bit about that journey with us?
Sure. I had totally bought into this notion, and it started kind of as a teenager. Dad was unemployed during the recession in the 73, 74 era, and money was a deep issue in our lives. I remember my father feeling rather emasculated by not being able to provide for our family in the way he would have liked. And God bless my mother, she made sure to remind him of that. So it was a very uncomfortable family life for me, and I made up like a sacred vow to myself, I am not going to let money stand in the way of my life. And so I went and followed that course that you mentioned with Ivy League school and MBA and going into the stock market and seeing if what I could do. And then, as you mentioned, at the peak of my success, my wife gets diagnosed with cancer, and it threw out everything I thought I knew about what I thought my life was going to be like. And this kind of script that I had, you make the money, and you kind of live reasonably happily ever after. And I was given very precious little time to enjoy the money that I was making. Actually, I'll give you two examples of some major events in my life in terms of awakenings that has led me on the path going forward here. And one of them had to do with, so my father had studied to be a rabbi and never went into retail, so it's kind of like a little bit of a joke right there. But he was definitely my moral compass. And obviously, being in the financial world, there are all kinds of temptations that can lead one away from their core values and ethics. And the temptations with the almighty dollar can be rather great at times, and I think we all know that, to kind of cut corners. And so my father was really helpful in helping me to kind of stay on the right side of what I know in my heart to be true. And he passed away in 1995. And before he passed, I told him the biggest issue I had with him passing was that he wouldn't be there for me, to give me the wisdom that anytime I needed his advice, I so valued his counsel. And he said, in all honesty and humility, he doesn't know exactly how the other side works, but that he would do his best to answer my questions if I ever had any for him and find a way to give me the answers I'm looking for. And so fast forward 4 years after that, my beloved gets cancer, and the toxic treatment of chemo and radiation was like zero quality of life for her. And we needed to find an alternative therapy. A friend of mine says, I know this alternative healer in Sedona, Arizona, so I go there. I bring Terry, my wife, and I decide, I got to get my money's worth. If we're going for an alternative healing and I'm going to be included in this, then I want to take a look at what I can have healed. And I noticed that when the market went against me, I really took it seriously. At times, I literally even cried about losing money for myself and the people who trusted me with their funds to invest. And I took it so seriously and so hard that I wanted to ask and heal this issue of self-doubt. Because I knew that the reason why I got on my case so much and beat myself up was ultimately rooted in self-doubt. Because, it comes with the territory. You have a bad day, you have a bad week, you've got a bad month, or even several months or whatever. It's part of the profession, and if you are true to your skill set and if you have confidence in your abilities, you can ride out the lows without beating yourself up. And so I wanted to address self-doubt. And it's really interesting. I'm not sure, Steve, if you heard of or if the people out there have heard of something called holotropic breathing, which is literally nothing more than breathing deeply. And so I wanted to go and that was a healing modality that was being offered to us, was to kind of get underneath whatever our illness or whatever our pains were. And it is remarkable how just breathing deeply and rhythmically over a period of time will take you into a non-ordinary state of awareness. So I decided to invite my father into this this journey with me to see, and ask, to see if he could give me any answers about the self-doubt. And I got to tell you, and this is very mystical and very strange, especially for a guy who was pretty much in the markets and really much more in the left brain side of life. I went to a place where I was like 4 years old, sitting in my father's lap. And that experience was so palpable that I could feel his breath on my cheek. And I literally started to cry because I don't think I ever had felt that close to him physically, probably since I was 4 years old. And so I asked him in this non-ordinary state, feeling like I'm in his lap, Dad, where does my self-doubt come from? And he said, it's not yours. It's mine. So I was ready for the follow-up question. Well, would you take it back? And for a moment, nothing happened. So I still started to have doubt about self-doubt and all the rest. And then I felt like I was hit with a lightning bolt, where there was a course of energy running through me that had me kind of shaking like the gator at Animal House, and just moving on the floor. And all I can tell you is something lifted that day. I've got plenty of moments of self-doubt, and there are times where my confidence isn't what it could be. But it hasn't been as deep or as long-lasting ever since. And so having that experience really put me on a path of exploring this mystery that we call life here. And knowing and having firsthand experience that our reality is far more than what really meets the eye. And certainly far more in that what most people are living their life in and what they're focusing on. And so that really set me on a deep journey.
Wow. Amazing, Stu, and just thank you for sharing so personally, bringing in just this, this conversation with your dad before his passing. And then he says, I don't know how this works, but from the other side, I'm going to be there. And then you have this happen with him, where you're 4 years old, sitting in his lap, and have this conversation with him, and you say, where did the self-doubt come from? And your dad says, it's mine. And then you say, take it back. And then you have this miracle moment, where you felt, in a sense, healed. And like you say, it hasn't, not that there's anything that maybe is gone away entirely forever, but you were healed in a substantial way in that moment. By the way, as you respond to that too, I would just, you were talking about this holotropic breathing, and if you're open, wow, that sounds like a beautiful experiential thing. Maybe we could even do here on this call if you like the idea, Stu.
Well, I have an idea for something we could do on the call. This holotropic breathing is a rather deep and dedicated exercise that can take, much more than this call would allow for. But there are definitely, if anybody listening here wants to, Google it, there is a lot of research on the subject. And people have had some amazing breakthroughs energetically, emotionally, physically, and spiritually through that modality. And so I certainly invite people to look that up if they have any curiosity around that. I also wanted to share one other thing, and I think this will dovetail really well into this notion of oneness and what we're here for. And so a couple of years after that, Steve, my wife was kind of getting worse, and it was really bad. And she, she had 5 brain tumors. I was like, and she had zero quality of life. I had 2 children from a prior marriage, still managing money in the stock market at this time, and just feeling like the weight of the whole world was on my shoulders. And there was one particular weekend where I didn't have my daughters from my first marriage. I already had a son with Terry, and she took him, our young son, up to her parents. So I had a weekend by myself. And I gave myself really, I really had to be functional. So I had to have that coat of armor on. I couldn't, I really didn't have time for grief or fear or sadness or any of these other things because I needed to be functional at work, which, of course, being a hedge fund manager, high-pressure situation, being there for my son, to relieve the nanny. I had too many responsibilities to, in a way, indulge myself in the depth of my feelings, or so I thought. But I did have a weekend that was free and clear and alone. And I finally said, okay, let's go to the place that I fear the most, which is pain, and just allow myself to feel all the feelings of grief and anger and fear, and fear for my son, who it was really clear my wife wasn't going to make it, and, the prospects of spending my life or raising a son who could have emotional scarring by not having his mother felt really overwhelming. And so I curled up into a ball, like in the fetal position, and just closed my eyes and I kind of clenched my jaw and went into the total blackness. And just, okay, here I am, avoiding all of these feelings that I push aside to function. And I said, okay, I'm here, bring it on. And it went to a place of tears and then beyond tears. And even beyond breath, it was truly like a dark night of the soul. And with my eyes clenched and all I could see in this inner vision was blackness and keep inviting it in, what I noticed after some period of time, and it could have been hours, that what I saw with my eyes closed and clenched shut as black began to turn light. And then slowly but surely, all of that blackness turned to light. And I really got it, that's what I am in my essence, is this light, is this loving presence. And the reason why I was in so much pain emotionally is because I love so deeply. And I really got that I am that love, and that nobody, not even my beloved Terry, should she pass away, nobody can take from me what I am in my essence. And having that awareness was such a huge gift and has really changed my life, and really was probably like one of the final straws that extracted me from the stock market to really pursue the kind of wealth that money can't buy, to really pursue the true nature of our reality, and really explore what's possible for not only my life, but for humanity. And so I wanted to share that one because that still resonates for me.
Oh, boy, Stu. Let's just take a moment here to really breathe into this sacred space here that you've created by sharing that personal story. I'm sure everybody, not that we've had a spouse pass, who was terminally ill and then passed, and then had to deal with this where we have children. But I think there's, of course, a lot of worry, a lot of stress and anxiety in today's world. And what a just incredible story and of courage is what comes to mind, Stu. Where you take that weekend to really be by yourself and to really explore what you knew to be the issue you said was pain, and then going down into it and healing it and finding the wisdom in what God was bringing to you, and which was that you are God's essence, you are God's love, and that nobody can take that from you. Feeling the light, knowing that was you, because your story is our story. It's all of our stories.
Mm-hmm.
And it's wow. But to hear of that personal journey I can't. I mean, I don't think I have the words to really to share how that moves me.
Well, we're all in this together, and that's something that I have done from time to time since then, is anytime I'm feeling particularly contracted, going in most likely into self-judgment or worry, and we all do this to varying degrees, is to really invite it in and say, okay, what do you got? And all of the things that I hear in my head, self-critic or whatever, that I wouldn't dare ever say to anybody else, but somehow I'm able to say it to myself internally about how either stupid I am or how messed up I am in one form or another, how poor a decision maker I could be. In any event, in inviting all of that in and continuing to invite in whatever that inner critic is that will keep us separate from our divine nature and the source of all things. It is amazing how the more it's asked to share, the more it becomes a little repetitive and starts losing its steam. And eventually, whatever that self-critic has to say, or whatever the fear or the worry that has to say, it is amazing how it runs its course. And then the only thing we're left with is more of our essential nature, which is inherently loving, playful, and ultimately grateful to have this opportunity to be incarnate.
Because we are the divine incarnate, aren't we? And that's really your story here. But what an extraordinary story of being a hedge fund manager, managing tens of millions of dollars, a wife that is terminal, and then that passes, and you've got kids. And this journey, I want to get to this next part of the journey because it's extraordinary what you're doing now and how you walked away from that. But let me just share a comment here from, this is actually from one of the leaders. There are 4 leaders that are running this program that are here with me. I'm going to thank them shortly. One of them is Nanette Kennedy. She commented here. She says, I've been there, Stu, not with a spouse, but with a son, Casey. When he was 9 years old, I was told he might not make it through a very serious disease. I went to the dark night of the soul. I'm very blessed that Casey came through it a year later. So, I think we're all relating to your story. Some like Nanette in just really almost equally profound ways. Stu, share if you would. Because,
thank you, Nanette.
And Stu, I want to say again, as a good friend, I've known Stu for over a decade. I used to live out in Silicon Valley and knew Stu back in those days. He's still in California, though he's moved up to the Sebastopol area, which is north of San Francisco, and I've moved out here to Boulder, Colorado with my family. But Stu, you really your life is now about faith, because you just step out and you're now completely devoted to your passion, which is awakening oneness in your own life and other people's life. Right? Can you maybe talk a little bit about what this journey that you're on now?
Yes. So, really, for the last decade plus, I really got the sense, and I think you referred to it a little bit in the introductory remarks around my bio, about being in the media, because that's where I see that we can be touching millions, if not billions, of lives and souls in a really, really efficient manner. And so that's really been my, occupation and preoccupation, is really using the media as an agent for change, for uplifting, and even simply as a transmission of an energetic presence that just feels delightful. And so that's what I've been doing, and specifically right now in the context of this television program called Get Conscious Now. We have a YouTube channel with that name. We've got a Facebook page with that name, Get Conscious Now. And all of our programs are on it. And we do explore the true nature of our physical reality, which, as you succinctly described, Steve, in your remarks, ultimately is there's one something, whether we call it the divine, God, the source of all things, or even something a little more, scientific, like the unified field. There is one something that's going on, and we explore how we can tap into that one something to allow for its infinite creativity to pour forth in ways that really serve humanity and really serve our evolution. And so whether it's interviewing people like Deepak Chopra, Michael Beckwith, we had Barbara DeAngelis on recently, or talking about people who are lesser well-known and not so much focused as authors of personal growth or spirituality, but people who are, in the trenches using forward thinking in wealth management, real estate, education, healthcare, and really kind of take a look at this notion of how to bring forward thinking, ultimately with this notion of our oneness, into everyday life in practical terms.
Yeah, awesome, and it's an incredible program. I want to invite people to go to YouTube and check that out. Get Conscious Now. You can see these video segments. Stu is a co-host. Patricia is the other host. They do just these programs are terrific. There's these ones with Michael Beckwith and Deepak Chopra, but as you mentioned, other people that aren't well known, but they all are sharing this beautiful, profound, very personal story about how they have awakened to oneness. The program you did with Michael Beckwith, who we, as you know, Stu, we honored him and his wife, beautiful wife, Ricky Byers Beckwith, last year with our Spiritual Leadership Award, and what amazing people. And that segment that you did with Michael was extraordinary, which was also very personal, where he talked about how he went into a garage and sat on mattresses and looked in a mirror and just talked to himself to really work through the unconscious behaviors and thoughts that were there to become the unbelievable, extraordinary, awake leader that he is. So, yes, want to invite people to check that out on YouTube, the Get Conscious Now program. It's a terrific program, and really want to just thank you and Patricia for putting that together. Stu,
well, thank you, Stephen. And you're going to be one of our guests. We're going to have to get you into Santa Barbara sometime, so that you can share your wisdom with us on the screen. I hope you're ready for your full
I'd love to do it.
Space
Stu has invited me last summer. We haven't quite done that program together yet, but I look forward to it. I look forward to being with your listeners, and I just love what you all have created with Get Conscious Now. It's pointed just straight at this whole focus of Humanities team, which is awakening ourselves and the world to oneness. There's this aspect of waking up. There's also this aspect of growing up, and even shadow work of just working through our issues. And Stu even referring to that here during his personal sharing. So it's we're definitely compadres here, and I know with all of the listeners too. That's why all of you, I know, are here with us, because this is your journey. One of the things that's so beautiful about these weekly Living in Oneness Summit calls is we are all on this journey together, and it's still relatively new. Most of us don't have neighbors, even all of our families, with brothers and sisters, moms and dads that are conscious. So it's really a beautiful thing to come together like this in community and share, because we tend to, I know I get really beautiful nuggets of wisdom that I carry around with me. And I also just enjoy the camaraderie of this energy that we're creating together when we come together like this. So look forward to doing your program.
Thank you.
You do the same thing with your audience.
Thank you. And just to follow up on and embellish on what you just said, Steve, ultimately, if we look at things in energetic terms, from a quantum perspective of all of us simply being energy waves vibrating at various frequencies, we are completely interconnected with all things, simply as these energy waves. And one of the ways that, evolution occurs, and whether it's the caterpillar turning into the butterfly, or there are plenty of other metaphors, is that these, and you referred to each of us earlier as cells of God, that the more we cluster together, we become to our own critical mass, and there's a synergistic energy that takes place that attracts more and more like energy and actually inspires like energy out of energies that may not be quite so like in the moment. And my sense is that is how our global evolution revolution is occurring. And it is occurring as we all light up and we connect with each other and share with each other and open our hearts even more to each other. It's palpable, it's visceral, and people who aren't quite wherever there is, if they're not quite there yet, all they know is like when Harry met Sally. I want what she's having because it feels so delightful and so delicious and such deep sense of gratitude to be alive and to have this opportunity for the divine to awaken through us.
And I'm so grateful you're bringing that in, especially right now, Stu, because as we know, boy, there's just there's turbulence in the world today in many different forms, political turbulence, stock market, financial turbulence, even in this area of religious kinds of things that are going on in the name of God, where people have been killed. So there's all kinds of turbulence. I think these are things all coming to the surface right now to be healed. But just to bring this reminder that life is such a gift, and that there are so many beautiful invitations, and that we can enjoy every bit of that right now. And I think where you were talking about when you were a hedge fund manager, and you'd even cry, in moments when there were losses. I'm guessing people are relating to that. They're crying because of the turmoil in the world and in communities, the turmoil in their stock portfolio, maybe the turmoil in their health, maybe the turmoil because of a lost one, if they live in one of these communities where some of these horrible things have happened with guns. So what a great time to just bring back around this eternal truth that we're all part of this one, of God, the divine, this field. And that's really what it's all about. And I love that about your show, that you share, with the Get Conscious Now show. It's not about financial wealth. It's about our essence, and really seeing that we're a part of the one, of the divine. That's ultimate reality. That's a key focus of your program, isn't it?
Yes, and ultimately, vibrational presence is everything. Our life stories and our circumstances and the outer world will constantly be shifting, and sometimes it'll be exactly what we have intended. Sometimes it will be something we'd absolutely choose not to see or experience. And sometimes, when we really surrender, reality can even exceed our dreams. And I have a couple examples of that, which are true blessings. And ultimately, through all of it, the only thing we really have, we won't say control, the only thing we really have control over is our presence. And can we be diligent and dedicated enough with whatever practices that we have, whether it's meditation or gratitude journals or other breathing or sound or movement modalities that keep us present to this deeper knowing that we are aspects of something infinite, that we are inherently not only good, but absolutely loving beings. And ultimately, we're here not only to serve other beings, but very possibly simply to enjoy being in this form. because, you know, ultimately we're formless beings, and this life that we live in is literally like a vacation from being formless.
Yes.
So,
Don Miguel Ruiz was on with us last week, Stu, and he was saying it was just to the same point. He was saying, I have a house, I have a car, and I have a body. You know, the body's just something I'm inhabiting, like you didn't sit in a car or sit in a house. I'm actually something formless. I'm something eternal. I'm something infinite, and I'm just inhabiting this body in this lifetime. Exactly, which is so beautiful, isn't it? Stu, here's a comment that came in. This is from Purnima in Delhi, India, and she says, thank you for this program, and thank you, Purnima, for being tuned in. Gosh, I wonder what time it is in India. It must be late there. That's the other side of the world for sure. Stu, is there something, there's so many things I'd love to do with you with this hour. Is there something experiential you'd like to do? We could also go deeper into the program you've created and new programs. There's actually time to probably do both of those things. What would you like to do next?
Well, I'm going to follow your lead on this one, Steve. Wherever you think we need to go, or wherever you'd like to go next, I am completely at your service and fully present with you.
Yeah, isn't that beautiful? I want to just say that to everybody here. Isn't it beautiful? Somebody like Stu with his background and just doing these. Somebody who ran a hedge fund, who's here, you know, just to be of service to the world, which is what oneness is. It does well describe the, you know, back in the intro, I was talking about maybe the invitation here for all of us to see we're one. You know, we're a part of the divine. We're a beautiful expression of the divine, and how we can be in service. And you're embodying that here on the program, Stu, and thank you for who you are. I would love to do something experiential because I know you do experiential things, and they're beautiful, if that feels right for you.
Absolutely. So I'm trusting that everybody tuning in live, and if you're listening on a recording, thank you for tuning in now, wherever you are, whenever you are. And this is probably not something where you want to be driving or operating any machinery for. So if hopefully everybody is in a comfortable space and a place where they can actually have a little quiet outside of this call. And I'm going to invite everybody right now to close your eyes. And to take a deep, calming breath and let it out with a sigh. And hopefully that felt good. So let's do another one. Just another deep breath and let it out with a sigh. And if a third time's a charm, let's do it one more time. Breathe in. And out. And I want you to notice how you're feeling as we enter this exercise. And I'd like you to consider that you are in the back seat of a car that you don't need to drive. And you can just put your feet up and observe. And just observe right now your breath as you continue to inhale and exhale. And as you continue to breathe in this nice, rhythmic, deep, calming manner, I'd like you to consider truly that only the source of all things, whether it's called God, Spirit, the universe, whatever you call it, that it literally is infinite and ever-present. And even if we don't fully understand all the implications of that, what we do know is that if this source, if God is infinite, then it must be in all things, in all moments. Or else it just isn't infinite. So as you continue to breathe and contemplate this ever-presence of the Creator of all things, consider right now that ultimately it is doing this breathing in this body that you would call yours. And ultimately, it is responsible for the air that is being taken in. It's responsible for the lungs that take it in and send it throughout the body. And our exhale as well. So this source is literally breathing life into this being that we would call us. Which, strangely enough, is also written in the Torah. And we're just simply practicing this right now. And so truly, as we continue to breathe and just notice and allow for the very real possibility that the infinite, the Creator of all things, is doing the breathing, that we may even want to put a hand on our hearts and feel the heartbeat that also is beating through the authority and imagination of this Creator. And so truly, as God, Spirit, Source, the universe, the united field of consciousness is truly ever present, then literally it is present in our heartbeat, in our breath, and in fact, ultimately every cell of our physical bodies. And as we allow ourselves to contemplate that truly every cell of our physical being is inseparable from the divine, consider the very real possibility that this divine Creator of all things is quite pleased with its creation of us. And that it delights in waking up to itself through us. And ultimately created all of the chaos and illusion of separation simply to experience the joy of awakening to itself. So you may right now actually consider wiggling your fingers and toes and your extremities with the awareness that the divine is being activated and being remembered. We are remembering into this oneness right now. And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes and look around the room that you're in with all of the detail all the intricacy of that which is man-made. And if you happen to be in nature or looking out a window into nature, you can begin to also notice all the things that clearly are beyond what man has made as well. In all the beauty, the splendor, the chaos, the weirdness. And this is our playground. And so I'm just inviting you just to consider continuing to breathe with a very real awareness and in the possibility that the divine, the source of all things, is living through us in this very moment, and in fact in every moment, whether we are consciously aware of it or not. And yes.
Whoa.
And just notice how you feel. Yeah.
Yeah, gosh, what a beautiful spiritual experience, too. Love that. Thank you. Gosh, that was just beautiful. I'm guessing that was maybe a highlight for many of us that are present here for this program with you. Really beautiful. Thank you so much. We'll breathe into that. Yes, beautiful, Stu. And it's also true. And, of course, in this powerful illusion of separation, gosh, it's sometimes walking around in the world, this truth gets lost. But that spiritual experience was so beautiful because that certainly brings us into real reality, into ultimate reality, which is our oneness with the divine and each other, which science has, of course, been supporting now for quite some time. So, Stu, we don't have that much time left. We've got about 13 minutes, and I'm going to take a little time before we close to share upcoming programs. But there are a few things I would love to do with you in the time remaining. One is this is the Living in Oneness Summit. We talk about living as one in the 5 pillars of success, or the 5 parts of our life. I know you have a life partner where you live in oneness. You bring oneness is the centerpiece, I know, in that relationship. You also have lots of kids. That's also very powerful, I'm sure, the way you relate to your kids in oneness. And then you've got some coming things that you're doing professionally. And, gosh, could we take about maybe 8 minutes to just talk about all of those things? I'd love to hear about your relationship with your partner, your parenting and oneness, and then your new ventures that are just around the corner.
Okay. Yes. Well, yes. First, let me talk about my beloved life partner, Wendy, who, if you're listening right now, sweetheart, you know how grateful I am to have you in my life and just to be blessed with the love you share with me. And after 3 marriages in which I never really had a partner, and I can raise my hand with full ownership, that maybe I was afraid or not ready to have a full partner in every aspect of my life, because I had kind of kept my professional life separate from them somehow as my own kind of illusion of private sanctuary. That I had actually come to a point of letting go that maybe I would never find the one, the twin flame, the soulmate, whatever it's called, and that perhaps in this lifetime it's enough for simply me to be grateful for the love that is shown my way. And in letting go of all of that, I met Wendy at a meditation seminar, and I was in my radiance and just my general joy for living, not looking to project anything into relationship, and she showed up in my life, and within a couple of days, I met her again. We had a hug that evolved into a slow dance, and the rest is history and a mystery. And it's delicious, and it's beautiful, and continues to grow. And so for me, having let go of the need to have a partner in that way, I think was really the critical key. And also just being fully who I am and just letting it rip enabled this beautiful being to see the totality of who I am. And had I been in a contracted state, she probably would have walked right by me. So that's my beloved there, the 5 kids. You know, they're all a blessing. They're all my teachers. And, you know, the old saying goes, if you think you're enlightened, spend some time with your family. They just have a way of, if there are any insecurities or any buttons that I have around fear, around providing for them financially, because, you know, kids are an expensive hobby. They're not a hobby, I'm only kidding. But, you know, they definitely require some resource. And, you know, at times that can be a little daunting. And beyond that, just in the course of parenting, when you think you know better than what they do in terms of what they want to experience in life, it's, you know, it's a great learning opportunity. And the bottom line is I love them dearly, and they've opened my heart in ways that ultimately I didn't know was even possible. And taking the final point of what you mentioned here is the new project. It's going through a series of name changes. However, the essence of it is it's a comedy series that explores love and joy. And it brings in science with a regular segment called Truth Be Told, so that whether it's from quantum physics, from cellular biology, or neuroscience, in every case, the ultimate truth is our reality is not what it appears. And just like the earth was flat for hundreds of years, if not thousands of years, and the earth, or the sun revolved around the earth, and everybody would have sworn on a stack of Bibles that weren't even printed yet that was the absolute truth. Well, once the real truth is discovered and shown, then it gets applied retroactively to the beginning of time. And I feel that's where we are right now with oneness, that science is more and more showing the oneness of things, and there will come a point in humanity's evolution, and I hope that, and we all hope that we're around to see that it will be accepted as self-evident, and that it will be a new era of humanity as a result, which I know is the core message and premise of Humanities Team. And so I'm going to be inviting in some humor into that, because ultimately it's kind of silly that if we're all fingers in the hands of God, why would one finger give another finger the finger? It gets to be kind of silly. And there is a cosmic joke here that only the source of all things exists, and yet we have to prove ourselves worthy of that. And people think it has to be done in a certain way, and that if you don't do it that way, that you are to be damned or not trusted. And it's just, and that is a legacy that goes back to, the whole story of original spin. And so the whole notion that we have to cover up in shame because something that's infinite, we're ashamed that we're not perfect in the eyes of something infinite. As if it's infinite, how could we possibly be separated from it in the first place? So we're going to be working with those kind of those energies, bringing in science and then bringing in fun exercises, even more fun than what we did today, which was, I would say, a little bit more on the sacred and deeply serious approach, but to really bring in breath, sound, movement, all the things that stimulate the biochemicals in our brain that make us feel really good. And to the extent that we become more and more empowered and have greater influence over how we experience life, then all of a sudden we begin to shift and realize we are so much more than we ever thought we were, and we're capable of so much more than we ever thought we were. And and my sense is we need to do that with humor and fun and lightheartedness, because the prospects of not being who we thought we were could actually be scary to some people. And certainly the ego is going to put up a good fight. And so we really want to bring in that rational mind and engage the curiosity through inviting in science. And then we'll have new words of the week, and like fun-believable. Fun-believable is a new word that we're making up. It's defined as more fun than you ever thought possible until you experience it. And then it's fun, believable, because you're experiencing it. And having kind of fun words that we get to make up like that also all point to a world that we want to live in, a world that's very possible, and something that's filled with much more light and delight. And so that's the purpose of the program, and there'll be videos coming out within the next 2 to 3 months on this. And I'm really inviting everybody to come and friend me on Facebook as Stu Zimmerman. I'm the guy without the hair. But there's more than one. And you'll find me. And please share, because this takes more than a village. And I'm going to be posting all kinds of questions and inviting people with all kinds of talents, ideas, and skill sets to come join in the play.
Oh, right. Boy, that sounds awesome. Yeah, new comedy series involving truth and joy. And you can find Stu, again, Stu at enjoymedia.org. Was that .org or .com?
No, .com.
.com. Stu at enjoymedia.com, and that's enjoys with an I, enjoymedia.com. This comedy series sounds fantastic. I love, you brought in just your mission and our mission, creating this new era of humanity, and we do believe here in Humanities Team that we're creating that now. That's actually, I think, part of why we're all called to be here and to transform our lives, to become that butterfly, so that we can be a part of this whole collective awakening, the shift, and create this new era for humanity now. In this decade, I believe in the next decade, this will happen.
Yes.
And, of course, none of us have that crystal ball. We don't know exactly when it happens. But what we can do is step into that center, into that circle ourselves, and live this way, which and Stu, of course, so beautifully describes how he does live this way, and it's extraordinary. And thank you, Stu. Stu, I'm going to thank you some more. I want to just ask this. One of the things which has been central to this program, the inner journey, the aspect of going within, and Stu described many points in his life where he did, and he shared this as part of his daily practice, this meditation and prayer and silent listening. All of these things are so powerful, and it's often said if we don't go within, we go without. So now in these turbulent times, just to really underscore that, how powerful it is to make this inner journey time for ourselves each day. So, Stu, thank you. Just totally profound, really extraordinary. I've just loved this hour. I'm guessing I'm speaking for everybody. Thank you so much, and I'm going to come back and thank you some more. But let me get to some coming programs so people are aware of them. Be sure to join us next Thursday on February 18th at 8:30 Pacific Time. And John Thomas and I are actually the special guests during this program. Anna Marie Pieterse is going to be with us. This is a Oneness in 12 Spheres call. We do monthly calls. There's a focus on a particular sphere. In this month, the focus is economics, which is business. So John Thomas and I are going to be talking about our Conscious Business Initiative, which we are incredibly stoked about. It involves a conscious business declaration that we created with the Club of Budapest, Goy Peace Foundation, and Fowler Center. It also involves a curriculum that we're rolling out this year. We're going to offer it twice this year, 3 times next year. And the curriculum is going to train and certify people as practitioners in conscious business, where conscious business is defined as being one with all of life, including the divine. It's revolutionary. It creates a whole new paradigm in business. Don't miss this program next Thursday, February 18th at 8:30 Pacific time. Then on the following Friday, February 26th, actually, before I get to Friday's program, let me share one of the things we'll talk about during the program next week is we're going to be doing a special program on Thursday, February 25th. It's going to be 10 to 11:30 Pacific time. We're going to do an important update on the Conscious Business Initiative. We're also going to invite people that want to financially contribute to the initiative to come to the call. These are major donors. Barbara Marks Hubbard is going to join us during that call. So if you want to hear more about that, be sure to join us next week. Then on Friday, February 26th, normally our program's on Thursdays. This one's on Friday, February 26th at 9 Pacific time. I'm going to be interviewing Matt Kahn. And, of course, Matt is this amazing new leader in Oneness. I say new leader. He's been around a while, but as you may know, he's surfaced as one of the really powerful leaders of our time. He has experiential programs. He talks about really living in the fullness of our divinity. I want to invite you to be with us for that program, Friday, February 26th at 9 Pacific time. If you go to livingin1.com, you can see all of the current programs that are coming. You can register. Also, for 48 hours, each of these programs are available for free where you're registered, so you can pick up those free calls there also. This program, of course, has talked about living in oneness. I want to invite you to be part of Humanities Team's Community Circle. It's only $10 a month, and it's for those who wish to be part of an intentional community committed to living and embodying oneness, those who want to collaborate and connect with leaders engaged in spiritual activism, a community that gives and receives support, a program that gives you access to all of our audio links here for this Living in Oneness Summit, Global Oneness Day, and more. There are over 260 programs that you and your family can listen to. There's also a private Facebook community where we support each other that you are brought into. And there's something brand new that's just around the corner. We're starting weekly calls that is exclusively for Community Circle members where we're going to talk about our journey in oneness. So you can, again, go to humanitiesteam.org, our website, and click on the Community Circle button there. You can learn more about this program. It's only $10 a month. And for those that want to support our global outreach, we also created something called a Board of Advisors that you can join. So that's at humanitiesteam.org. Stu, thank you. Thank you again. Just such a privilege and a blessing to have you here with us. I've so enjoyed this program. I also want to just take a minute to thank my colleagues, Nanette Kennedy, Dee Meyer, Penny Heifel, and Monica Augustine. These are the women who helped to create this program. They are running the back end of this program, including bringing in comments and questions. And there's a lot of promotion. There's actually a lot of work to do these weekly programs. Thank you to each of you. And then last, definitely not least, I want to thank each of you, the listeners, for making it a priority to be here with us and for creating the shift in the world today. As we know, the shift has already begun. And in closing, I want to invite everybody on this call to really live as one with the divine in each other. This is ultimate reality. One of the best ways to spread the invitation of oneness is to really live it, and in living it, we create this world that we've all dreamed about and envisioned. We manifest it, literally bring it into form. We already are all one, so let's embody it and bring this new world, this new era for humanity, as Stu framed it, into reality here on the earth. So enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you next Thursday, the 18th at 8:30 Pacific time when we talk about our Conscious Business Initiative. And thanks again, everybody, for being here. Thank you, Stu. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.